ja, kan ook een shirt hebben, kan ook hier. Dat kan niet. Nur niet bij een telefoon.
Das bekommt man auf TYPO3-Veranstaltungen immer, allein durch die Gespräche. The name was announced. I guess it's more 13 where the journey is going to. So who is this? I'm Stefan Bürk. I'm working at the Web Vision GmbH. I'm working at the Web Vision in Mönchengladbach. Just around the corner. Web Vision is paying me just around the corner. Of my time for my working time to work on the TYPO3 core. And I'm part of the TYPO3 core team since 2022. Not only working during my working hours, but also in my free time. Also in my free time. And I'm doing helping in extensions, or the testing framework. So, a little bit blurry. In general, each major version has a kind of roadmap. Or road where the journey should go. The kickstart of a new major version of a branching in the major version is that's the branching in the mono where we can start to remove the braking stuff or the deprecation from the driver, the braking stuff or the deprecation from the driver, and doing preparation for the next version. Doing preparation then for the next version. Classic .0 release is the classic .0 release is the only release we have every major changes in the core. .0 version every major version stuff with the braking. .0 version is the after the .0 braking sprint releases. After the .0 new features or additional deprecations, new features or additional deprecations. But I guess braking changes anymore. It's a nice thing to know. It's a nice thing to know. Centralize this in this time frame. Centralize this in this time frame. Roughly half a year, where we introduce multiple sprint releases, which were announced last year from Benny Mack on the developer days, from Benny Mack on the developer dates, which are normally dates. Hit at point, normally the release is done, and everything at point, and the release is done, and everything which is there. We just had in January the first sprint release. We just had in January the first sprint release, breaking with the first couple of things. Release, the .0 release, or another word for the couple of things could be the housekeeping release. Or another word for the .0 release could be the housekeeping release. And now we can use all the stuff which was laying around, and now we can clean the house. Let's have a look what .0 has brought to us. Let's have a look what .0 has brought to us. It just changed minor things, not a lot. If you can see it just changed minor things, not a lot. Which is required is PHP 8.2 minimum PHP version, which is contrast to the PHP 8.2. Or in contrast to the we introduced PHP 8.2 and 8.3 support to TYPO3. We introduced PHP 8.2 and 11.8.3 so you have to TYPO3 PHP version and 11 upgrade path from so you have 11 to PHP to the next v13 as an upgrade path from TYPO3 v11 is a good range to the next v13. The decision for the race was mainly a good range that we can decision for the race because this is requiring PHP 8.2 as a minimum require Symfony 7 because this is requiring PHP 8.2 as a minimum requirement. Major version of Doctrine DBEL additional has been introduced or major version of Doctrine DBEL has been introduced or incorporated in the library in the background with is driving main doing the hard library in the background with is driving towards the databases. Many people don't have direct contact with the database because they're using XBase, but some people don't have direct contact with DBEL to use the Doctrine DBEL query builder. But some people or developer are known to use the Doctrine DBEL query builder directly. To the changes of these levels later on. For the developers, we had to raise changes of these levels later on, like SQL. Additionally, we had to raise some 8.0 requirements like 17. That was done for 80 to maybe be able to introduce later. That was done in regard to maybe be able with JSON support to introduce later. But MySQL would be the only backend with JSON who is capable of doing this in a performant way. MySQL would be the only can do it. But we have backend who is capable of this, doing this in a performant way. The other can do it, but we have performance for MariaDB has been mainly because of the raise from 10.3 to 10.4. Mainly because of the raise from Doctrine Debug. That's the minimum version has been raised to 10. Previous version had 9.6. Where the minimum version has been raised to 10. Which is okay. Previous version I guess 9.6 end of life version 4 or 5 years ago. Which is okay. Should not be that much of a problem. End of life. That is basically the main thing we have changed in the requirements for the project you need. That is basically not much, but the main thing we have changed in the requirements for the project you need. It's not much, but you have to take care. Version 0 contains 59 features. Version 0 at least that was the count of the 59 features, and we have 105 breaking changes. At least that was the count of the 5. That does not match the 105 number of changes REST files because that does not match. We have one huge number of the breaking deprecation file because where all the deprecated stuff is removed. So if you go through all the changes deprecation files, where all the deprecated stuff is removed. So if you go through all the changes, the number is... That are changes which has been deprecated in the previous version. So you have the information. That are changes which has been deprecated in the previous version. So you have the information, APIs. You could, so it would not be breaking. These when things we create to new APIs didn't do this before, so it would not be breaking. So that's mostly when you upgrade. The thing with the breaking stuff and didn't do this before, it is breaking. So that's mostly there are just minor things breaking stuff and which are really breaking you cannot address before. In the most cases, just minor things which are really breaking you cannot address before. Which in the most cases we try to achieve. To have breaking things for a lot of which stuff are not breaking if you do it before. So I guess we start with something that counts for a lot of stuff. So everything which has been deprecated so in the we start with something deprecation has development cycle. Everything which has been deprecated is removed. V12 development cycle. Every deprecation is removed. At least if we found it. As another, maybe one or two has more been targeting the developers under us is we added a lot of parameters in return types to public APIs or public API methods. The developers under us is we added a lot of parameters in return types to public APIs or public API methods. Correct value is set. So the typing helps us to have a stricter API code in the methods. To check if the correct value is set, it is breaking. So the typing especially for the return type. To have a stricter if you extend a class and have overwritten a method, it is breaking. And have not a return type. For the return type. That's a fatal error in PHP. If you extend the other way around, you can add and have overwritten a method in your extension for the return type. It doesn't care, error in PHP. But it's not breaking in the other way around. You can add this. There are ways to do it in your beforehand, and you have dual code abilities for the v12, but it doesn't care. In the nature is, but it's if you're not breaking in v13 anymore. So there are ways to do it beforehand, and you have dual code or type abilities for extensions, properties of classes. In the nature more or less, if you do nothing, it is special case because there. That just mentioned you can do it before. Types there's not type hints on properties of has classes. A type, and you extend it and override it in your extended class. You have just use the same type. you can do it before. If the parent class has none, you cannot set one. If a property has a type, and you extend it and override it in your extended class, v12, you have to use the same set in the parent class. It works. If the parent class has none, you cannot just set one. So that's a problem of no way to say I'm setting this, and then we have documented where it was not set in the parent class. It works. That does not count in this case. That's a problem of PHP itself. So we have documented this.
Okay, we don't want to have multiple union types on properties. We want to go the way to get a property with one type, and we'll change it in version 14 maybe.
If I got this right, you're asking about in general if we
we'll change it in version 14 maybe.
Or not?
So are you converting property declaration to union types, or do you think that's not the way we want to go?
In most cases, we have only our own single types of properties called
converting
the case is
property declaration to union of course, not all is not the way we want to go.
In most cases, we have only single types of properties. In general, often have an interface and some exact interface with each other.
Yeah, of course, not all is
in certain cases, we cannot put it directly on the property or the method, but in some cases, in general, often have an interface and some subclasses extending interface and each other. There are some cases where we use we try to minimize the property or type, but in some cases, type 3 is a legacy code base with a long history of code. Often the types have been converted from the PHP doc block to the native typing, so where would types have been used, we try to minimize this to concrete types, but in other places we have to use legacy code base with a long history of code. If you change the often from the types have been converted from the PHP doc block, it would be a change in the signature. We could have been done this in TYPO3.0, but not afterwards. So we have to keep that until the next major. I cannot say we have not done this in general. I guess in some places we have done it, but it was not a change. It would be a change in the signature. We could have in most cases the types have but not afterwards. Already relative. So we have to keep that until the next major version. Also. I cannot say we have not done this in general. I guess in some places we have done it, but it was not a general rule. In most cases, the types have been already relative clean in most cases, not in every. Also.
Relates more to method signature than actually property typing. I was a little bit ahead.
There are basically two ways to deal with such update. One thing is to do just a simple replacement. That is not what we are doing. Normally we look onto it and say, okay, it's okay to keep it, we just add the typing, or The API, there basically is not two ways to deal with this. So we change the API. One thing is to move the API single replacement types comes in, so we are doing in the core. Normally look on and it only counts for public API. Okay, it's okay to keep it, we just add the typing, everything with the API as private is not as private really as internal. So we change the API as class, and with the API change for the change types comes in, so or methods which are private or protected on classes. And it only counts for public and therefore no breaking policy counts. So we everything which is marked as private in any case, not as private as internal. If you extend classes, you have as to class for the property types, for example. Everything which is methods which are private or protected on classes you have to use or you should use. And therefore, we try to policy count so we can as low as possible change this. So you can do it in any case. Just for example, you call a method on a utility class, but your extension. So, but everything which is works on declared public API, you have to use or you should use. In other places, we have to change this effort as low as possible. Method so you can do it with. Just maybe for example, you call a method on some argument because it's not needed, or extend additional the same information. For example, passing the server request down. Or things that are method changes. Yeah? In other places, we have to change this to get next point. Some information change more down the pipeline. Maybe we have stripped out some arguments because it's not needed, you can reach it additional and avoid information. For example, passing like the server request down or things that are method changes. Yeah? We have to do this to get some information more down the pipeline. So other places can reach it, or you can reach it, and avoid global state, like the global request object. And I think you get it from the basic. I forgot on the slide before. I have to confess one thing. I prepared an announcement in the end code as possible. But we try and how to deal with it. I think yesterday I forgot as a slide on my watch. I thought I have to confess one thing. I prepared this talk and the train trials for the meter types and how to deal with it. So I tried my best, but some things like, for example, I'm using them to show the train I saw. Additional, so it was you, included index search. So I tried my best, but some things like examples I'm using. But there are some small project index searches. For additional, for you, and you have to there are index search a lot of choices index I know a lot of fields are using searches and strip downs and duplicate key entries and so on. That was a long standing history, and there was quite some tries to fix that from the community in between. But classical changes on a database is considered breaking strip down, so we cannot do duplicate key entries and so on. That was a long standing history. There was quite some after we have tried to breaking changes from the community around what we wanted to include. Classical changes on a database is considered breaking schema's, so we cannot do this some in between. Refactorings in the index search, adding types and so on. 1.5 weeks before the zero release, I changed all the other breaking database schema, which was so the hashes are not to include, cut down with MD integer converted and their schemas, for example, which some code refactoring in the index search, duplicate key issues and so on. We fixing some things. The counterpart changed, you have to database schema, so the hashes are not because the hash is not the same. And we have no way integer converted variables which lead or led to the tables are truncated. If your counterpart is analyzer, you have to then the truncate is done automatically. because the hash is not the same anymore. Yeah? Or it is run automatically on it. Just remember that if you use this. It cannot crash because the table is automatically. So the table is truncated if you are doing a database analyzer. If I remember right, then the truncate is done automatically on one of the next slides. Or it is automatically on it. Just remember that if you use this. The plugin for the cannot crash index because the table is truncated. Also, there are no searches from list type to C type. If I remember general, I guess I have it on one of the next slides to move all things from list type to C type. Through the change logs, the main type, and to the plugin for the strip out index search subtype also being converted from list type to C typing on the TT. We have a general ongoing in general quest. You can do this today, even for Xbase plugin. The default is to register as this plugin, but you can register as C type. Strip out. Try to do it. You can do this in v9. So we have only one type. You have to change your code towards that. If you are on it, in general, change. You can do this today, even for Xbase plugin. The default is to register as this plugin, but you can register it as C type. And try to do it. You can do this in both of these libraries, so it's nothing new. Symfony. You have to change your code. Have some breaking changes if you are on it. Library change it. So look them up if you use components directly. If you don't use it directly, you don't have to deal with Symfony 7 because the core is doing this. Both of these libraries or components of Symfony, some people already may have some breaking changes in the if you are writing custom CLI commands based on the Symfony command. If you use components directly, if you don't use it directly, you don't have to deal with it because the core is doing it. For example, that was deprecated early in Symfony 6. Already hit the you could have been. If you are writing added custom return type already based on the Symfony command or class, at least if you execute Symfony 6, the return type, it would be okay, and you would not have a problem. That was deprecated early in Symfony 6. You could have been unrelated to TYPO3 added this return type already in TYPO3 raised to Symfony 7 in v12. If all at least if you are on Symfony 6 allows this. And one of the problems was, and you would not have a problem with the news extension from Georg Ringer. Missed that return type. It's unrelated to TYPO3. One or two people hit v13 because you and could 2 or 3 days later, Symfony 7 in v12. Our good friend Helmut, third-party extension allows this. Released a new version and of his TYPO3 console where he allows extension from Georg Ringer before he has missed that return type. Pinned it to 6, or 2 people hit it. And every project updating 2 or 3 days later with Composer and having good friend console in it got this version of Symfony console and where he allowed so it was in the beginning before the first reports came in correctly. So why is this popping out pinned it to 6 after and 4 weeks we're having Symfony 7 in so dependency it's not Composer and having TYPO3 console in it. You can do it. This race of Symfony there should be some rectal rules for it. I don't know. So it was in the beginning. If not, the first reports came in. They will come up. Why is this popping out now? All these things are things after you can 4 weeks. We're having Symfony 7 in so project and all extension at least for 12 and so on. If you do it now, you can do it. I guess there should be some rectal rules for it. I don't know. If not, for doctrine they will come up. I know this by heart because I have done this. You can do now. An old project, an old extension, at least for 12 of breaking. If you do it now, under the doesn't hurt in the old versions. In general, there should be only 3 or 4 things for doctrine which could hit you if you use something. I know this by heart because I have done this. One thing is the quote method on the connection or the query builder. A lot does not have anymore the second argument for the type. In general, there should be only in the first one, 3 or 4 must things be a string which could hit you. So if you have an variable with an integer value, one thing is may have used quote method on the connection or the query builder. Variable name does not have the second argument. The second argument for the type. Double point. And the first one must be a string. So if you have a variable with an integer value, you have may have used quote. variable name, and the second argument was connection
to quote
double point.
The create name parameter is creating a placeholder and sending the data in another way to the database. The quote is you give something in and get a string back,
which is simply a string which has
simple quote function to quote nothing more. The create name parameter is creating a placeholder
with the expression builder,
sending the data in another way to the database. The quote is under the hood you give something in and get a string back,
which is simply a string which
and
has
quoted values. This is done,
nothing
and
more.
you retrieve a string.
Other word would be
if you
familiar with the expression
builder, there you have the
decided
method.
To remove this quoting.
Under the hood is doing a
it
quote.
would be quoted a string
Just
adding
a
quoting on it.
There we decided
to pass this
is done,
and
you
don't add a
string.
deprecation
Everything
layer
is a
down
string
out there, and you quote it.
Pull your
decided
your logs
to
with
remove this
deprecation because you have not done it.
It would be quoted a string.
This one
anyway
will crash.
And
there we
in the
decided
case, your
to
variable
pass
is
is
true.
not string. We don't add
So if you pass in a
deprecation
bool
layer
or
down out there and pull
integer
your
or float value,
populate
you have
your
to
logs
string
with
cast this.
deprecation
Solution,
because you have not done it.
Cast it already in v12.
This one
remove the second
will
argument
crash because you put
in
in
the
a
case
string, it
your
will
variable is
quoted
not
as
a
a string.
So if you pass
You
in
don't
a
have hassle
bool
with
or
conversion. It's breaking in
integer or float value,
if you
you
do
have to
it,
string
that's the
cast
point.
this.
You can do it
Solution,
before,
string
but you
cast
have
it
to
already in
actually do it.
v12.
I don't know.
Remove the second argument
because
maybe
you
come
put
up
in
with
a string,
bool or
it will
someone can write a
quote
rule
it
for
as a
that.
string. You don't have hassle with conversion.
Another thing is
Breaking in v13, the execute that's the point. You can do it before, but you have to actually do it.
Had original also
write a
second
rule for
argument where you can pass through parameters.
thing is,
provided. Doctrine
The execute method on the execute
has no second
had
argument
original
also second
you
argument where
want
you
to
can
bind
pass
parameters,
through
you have to
parameters
use the bind
paran
method
method beforehand
kill that.
manually.
The execute
There we also decided
no
to
second
not
argument anymore.
make an
if you
compact layer on
want
that and
to
keep
bind
that
parameters,
for
you
the
have
next
to use
18
the
months.
bind
paran method beforehand manually.
There we also decided to not
Just
make a
compact layer on that and keep that for the next 18
similar,
months. Second parameter on another. This was the execute on connection and query builder.
That was the 2 points. Same thing, 2 places.
Just
that are the only thing
which could crash on your side.
Similar
Second
general,
parameter
for
on
the
another.
most
This was the
cases.
execute on connection and query builder.
Other things
that was
has
the 2
been
points.
Same thing, 2 places.
Or
Doctrine
that are the only
deprecated
thing which
the
could
old
crash on your
reset
side. Query part and
in
query
general,
parts
for the
method on the
most
query builder.
cases.
Where you can reset
Other
some
things has been
internal, that's the name, or
internal
Doctrine
property
Diva
state.
deprecated the old reset
They
query part and query
deprecated that
parts method
and
on the
removed
query
it.
builder. Where you
And
can
some
reset
people cried,
so they
internal,
reintroduced it in another
that's the
way.
name, internal property state. The old one
They
was deprecated that. One
and
method
removed
does
it.
all. And some people
the
cried,
reset
so
query
they
parts
reintroduced it,
got
in
a
another
name
way.
and an array to reset all parts, which was in the array.
The
And
old one was
reset query part. There you pass the name,
one method
for
does
example,
all.
where to reset the wares,
the
or
reset
the
query
having
parts
to reset the having,
got a name,
or
and
the
an
select
array
to
to
reset
reset
all
select.
parts, which was in the array.
Such a
And the
generic
reset query
method
part,
is not.
there you
existing
pass the name, for example,
They
where to
reintroduced
reset the
new
wares,
methods,
or the
reset
having,
where,
to reset the
reset
having,
order
or
by,
reset
the select to
reset the select.
Group by, for example,
Such a
generic
which have
method
been
is
used
not
in some places where you have
existing
built up a query builder.
They reintroduced new methods
For the select, reset
but
where,
you wanted to
reset order
make
by,
now a
reset
count
query. So use the query
group
builder
by,
instance,
for example,
reset the group
which have
by,
been used in some
change
places
it
where
to
you have
count
built up
and
a query
executed
builder.
it.
That was needed
To, for the
not
select,
all databases
but you
can
wanted to do a
make
count
now
with
a
a
count
query. So use
condition
the
set.
query builder instance.
There are also
reset
two
the
of
group
three
by,
example
changed it to
TYPO3
count
core,
and executed
mean,
it. Georg
that was
Ringer
needed
does it
because
in
not
his
all
extension
databases
too in
can
some places
do
do
a
a count with a group
their
condition set.
This is needed.
There are also 2 or 3
This can be
examples
changed
in
in
v12.
for
I mean,
if you are
Georg
at
Ringer
the
does
latest
it in
version
his
and
extension 2 in some
explicitly
places. So on Doctrine Diva
there
3.8.
this is needed.
.0. because
can
they
be
backported
changed
the
in
new
new
methods
if you are at the
3.8
latest version,
So
and
if that's the
explicitly
minimum version of
on
Doctrine
Doctrine
Keeper, you can change the code and it will work.
non-breaking
Because
on the
they
upgrade tool.
backported the new methods
So
with the
we did not have
3.8
some
So
deprecation
if that's the minimum version of Doctrine Keeper, you can change the code.
There
and it
was
will
also
work.
a non-breaking on the query
upgrade tool,
builder, where you could fully set
we
apart.
did not have
This
some
method
deprecation
also has gone without a direct replacement, because you need none. There was also,
For example,
an add method on the query
select,
builder.
where
You
set the
could
whole
fully
select
set
You don't
apart.
need it because you can
This
simply use the
method
select method
also
on the
has
query
gone
builder.
without a
That is
direct
rewriting
replacement,
or resetting the
because you
whole
need none.
select. If you want to
example,
append single
add select,
selects, you have to
set
use
the whole
its,
select array.
select
You don't
statement.
need it because
So
you can simply use
there's
the
also
select
no
method on the
reset
query
method for
builder.
that.
That
Because
is
you don't
rewriting
need
or
or resetting
resetting
the
the
whole
whole
select.
Simply pass
If
the
you
empty
want to
arrow,
append
array or array
single
with the new
selects,
conditions,
you have to use
it
the
is resetted
select
value set.
statement.
So
There's also no reset
in
method
other
for
parts,
that.
because
Just
you
call
don't
the
need a
normal
reset
methods
to reset,
where
simply
having
pass the empty
the array or
so
array
why
with the new
or add
conditions.
method. So
it
that's
is reset
without
and
a
a replacement.
replacement and can be changed.
In
in
other
other
parts,
parts, for
just
the
call the
things like
normal
select,
methods.
you have to be on
having
Doctrine
the
Keeper
group by
3.8.
So why?
Because the
So
internal
that is
changed the
without
way
a
how they are
replacement
saving the state.
and can
If
be
you're doing this
changed.
before, it will
Also,
not work.
for
But I
the things
guess
like select,
most people do not
you have to be on
do these
Doctrine
things
Keeper
on the things.
3.8.
We have done it in the core on some low
because
level
the
parts.
internal changed
For
the way
example,
how they are
X
saving
phase.
the state.
If you're doing this
Where
before,
in the background,
it will not
builders
work.
use.
But I guess most people do not do these
But
things.
it's documented in a
We have done it in the core on some low
Doctrine.
level
I have
parts.
written it
For example, X
how to
phase,
deal with it. Where in the background query builders use.
Let's say add where method is gone.
So,
Doctrine 4.
but it's documented in the change log for Doctrine. I have written it
there was a general
how to deal with it.
Oh, okay.
ADE, a general method. The first argument was, for example, select or there. And the third argument was there was a generic method.
Oh, okay.
ADE, the general method. The first argument was, for example, keep the current state, but there was the third argument was to set a generic method.
Okay, sorry.
I would have intervened on Doctrine and say your efforts. So,
Keep the current state, but at a certain more.
yeah, we have a dozen of new working events.
I
would have intervened on Doctrine and say
for example,
your efforts. So, if I remember right,
some TypoScript related front-end hooks.
yeah, we have
can do
a
stuff
dozen of
and
new PSL
in a lot of
14
other places.
events.
In several
places, just look the
for
change
example,
log if you need. If I remember
some
right,
events and some places
some
TypoScript
to get
related
them.
front-end hooks.
I guess
where you can do
if you
stuff
really want to
and
know,
in a
on
lot
the
of
developer
other
days,
places.
I guess Oliver Bartsch is doing his. Just look the change log if you need 10 or 15
events
slides
and
of
some
places
places 14
to get
events.
them.
I guess if you
I
really
had
want
it.
to know,
I had it
on the
in the
developer
slide,
days,
but I guess Oliver Bartsch
we're
is
doing it
his
overnight.
10 or 15 slides of PSL 14 events. Additionally, we have a new
I had it
PHP
in the slide,
attribute
but to
we're doing it overnight.
before you had to
work out
with
such a lot
if
of
you
list
wanted
of,
to listen
events.
to an event.
Additionally, we have
You have
a
to
new
add it in your
PHP
services
attribute
to register.
now you can do
listener.
it with a simple PHP.
Before you had
to
register,
write a class,
if you
use the
wanted to
attribute,
listen to
you
an
can
event,
nothing to do.
you have to add it in
Beside
your
the channel
services
extension. Now you can do it with
that
a
the
simple
API
PHP
knows.
attribute. Yes, this extension is
Write a
capable
class,
of
use the attribute.
You're gone.
Additionally,
nothing
we
to
had
do.
quite some
Beside
work
the
with
general
IP support,
extension
in the
snippet
core, mainly for
that
the
the
image
API knows.
processing.
Yes,
I
this
know
extension is capable of
TYPO3
API.
already
Could
additionally
work
we
in
had
some places
quite
WebP,
some work
but not
with
full.
IP support.
That also
in the
contains
core, mainly for the
special
image processing.
quality settings for
I
WebP
know
in some places.
TYPO3
the overall
already
support directly
could work
for
in some
WebP
places. WebP
has been enhanced,
but not full.
And it
that
also contains
now,
special
in the
quality
default
settings for
list
WebP
of
in some
available
places. So
image.
the overall support directly for
suffixes.
WebP has been
no
enhanced.
media files and so on. I
It
guess
is
you
all
know.
now.
It's
In a new installation,
in the
if you
default list
upgrading,
of
you have to
available
add it
image
manually if you have already
suffixes.
so known media files and so on.
I guess you know.
For the in a new installation, if you upgrading, you have to add it
create
manually
or
if
you
you have
can
already
have it. complex forms
for the co-extension form, where you can
select the autocomplete
or your
editors can create
for the HTML attribute in the front end.
Complex forms
that could be done
there's
in the YAML files directly before, but not in the editor in the backend. Fields selectable for the HTML attribute in the edit form to say this field needs in the front end in the YAML files directly before, but not in the editor in the backend. Now it's selectable as option
I guess
in
the next one,
edit
at least for
form
the
to say
integrators,
this field needs in the front end in autocomplete.
The flex form processor,
but some may use it.
The flex form processor,
I guess the next one, at least for the integrators, is
maybe
solving file relations directly.
Processor.
Before you had in TypeScript the processor and the second processor
is now
capable to get the relations and the file items in it. Relations directly.
Processor can now do
Before
it directly.
you had in TypeScript the processor and the second processor to get
that was a
the
long,
relations
outstanding feature.
and the file items in it.
I myself had
custom processor
can now do it
processors doing this already.
So
you have only to use the one.
And I guess most people have
that was a long,
now
outstanding feature. I myself had a custom flex form data processor doing this already since some core versions.
Shows the integrity status of
now
the
it's in the core. There's a CLI command to check the status.
The redirect,
for example, if it is conflicting or no longer existing,
shows the integrity status.
There's also work ongoing. There's a CLI command to check the community is working on some stuff. For example, if it is conflicting or no longer existing and something. I will do some.
There's also work ongoing.
Maybe but there from the community is working on some stuff. I have
but I guess
and it's filterable.
He's
so you can show which is conflicting
or additional things in the
interface of 13. So and there, but there is working and work ongoing. Additional, and it's filterable. So you can show which is conflicting
is now capable
ending in a loop
directly using native PHP already in there and in the domain modules. For example,
additional database field for the developers,
and you have a PHP
XBase is now capable.
You can use it as property type
directly
using native
XBase will map the value to the type and
domain
you have
modules.
the correct type.
You have a database field,
and you have a PHP you can use it as
REST
file in the change logs. XBase will map the value to the type and you have the correct typeset. That's a lot of things to do in 5 hours in the night. So REST file in the change logs. The form manager, also X forms, has now a search method to search something. That's a lot of things to do in 5 hours in the night. So I have not checked how it's worked. I just read the form manager, also X forms, has now a search I guess another thing, which is really I must confess, I must be honest, I have them has the ability for the online media assets like YouTube, videos and so on. And fetched, I guess another thing, the metadata from the external service. The problem was it was fetched and saved for the online media and then like it was set videos and so on. And fetched it's now possible to the metadata from the external service or refetch the metadata. The problem was it was fetched and saved data if you want, and then in the backend installed. In the file list, it's now possible to right-click on the file, reload metadata, and refetch the metadata of the online metadata if you want. In the backend for editors. In the file list, a welcome one. Should be some right-click on the file, and maybe reload metadata, the ability to remove code from the custom project. Because the code is not small feature, but I guess for editors, a welcome one. And maybe has added the ability to remove code from the custom project API because the code to the backend JavaScript. That means it is possible to register hotkeys or has added shortcut combinations for the backend. To do the backend JavaScript, you all know that means it is possible to register hotkeys or I guess shortcut combinations for the backend to do tasks. And other things. For example, for the live search, control S has 2 or 3 shortcuts, I guess, but it's now an API, a valid API in the core you can use if you want to use other things, custom shortcuts for the live search extension. The core has 2 or 3 shortcuts. This is now in the core. But if you don't have API to code it yourself, a valid API in the core you can use if you want to use custom shortcuts. You can say your extension or your backend in this module also.
This is now in a core. You don't have to code it yourself. This is pretty nice. I'm not, if I remember right, it's JavaScript guy. So you can say this shortcut only in this module. That's the next problem. I'm not a global shortcut. I guess this is pretty nice. I'm not a front-end or JavaScript guy, so took quite some work. That's the next already problem. I'm the under the earth. So if you write extensions and you have to deal with databases, you had to write quite some work. TCA. You already know to the X tables, SQL file, and so on, and a lot of stuff. You have to deal with databases. Some you had to write. Has been auto-generated. You had to add the fields to the quite some time, like the UID or pitch columns and so on, and a lot of stuff. V13. Some fields through the TYPO3 has been auto-generated and defined quite some time, like the UID or pitch columns and so on. It's not one TCI type for V13. There are metrics of the TYPO3 TCI types. So it's now possible and defined defaults for these types and options. Fields only in TCA, one TCI type, and you don't have to add it to the X tables. There are metrics of things. There are some types now possible, which we are trying to add. I guess the input only in TCA, and you don't have to add it to the X tables. It's hard to come up with. There are some good types left. But other things like check, select, I guess the input TCI and all these TCI types, JSON, they have found types now defaults to come for the database. So good default. But other things like check, select, and all these TCI types, JSON, they have found that's already the point. If you add the field still in your X, you cannot override with the X tables. So if you declared, that's already the point. If you add the field still in your X, you cannot override with the X tables. That's the case. We provide a default, but in some cases your definition will take place. The default is only kick in if nothing is declared manually. So that's the case. We provide a default, but in some cases you say in hand.
When you have a lot of fields going on, databases have to do that, and everything is declared like.
Yeah, that's
you have to decide yourself.
We know it. That's not a simple topic. We can make 2 talks out of it just for the talk. Yeah, that's maybe we can have a chat on it. You are right. That's the way. That's not a simple topic. We can make 2 talks out of it. That's not possible. It was not meant that we kill. Maybe we can have a chat on it. You are right. So, that's the way. Then you can control it. Write a TCA. That's still possible. It was not meant that we kill the X tables completely. Then I have but to go a lot faster. Write a TCA. Yeah, and be there are a lot more types. Because there will I have. To go a lot faster, my personal killing feature of .0 is there are a lot more types URL of the TYPO3 because there will something now. I guess that is my example. If you want killing feature of .0 is configured to look like of the TYPO3 backend is now configured. For example, if you want for the example I use configured my secret TYPO3 backend. That's the backend. Old version was /TYPO3. That's for the example I used. That's my secret TYPO3 backend. Also possible. That's the backend to define the domain in the subdomain. /TYPO3. So if you have, for instance, with multiple domains on it, that's but you want the backend also to possible only on one to define the domain in the subdomain. If you want that, so if you have, for instance, the backend URL to this domain. So if you use one of the other domains, only on one subdomain, if you want that domain. You can configure the backend URL to this domain. So if you use one of the other domains, legacy layer for the old entry point, redirected because we have configured only one entry point. The index PHP on the front end is dealing with. There's also a legacy layer for the old entry point. That's the example because we have now only one entry point. It's just from the REST file. PHP on the front end is dealing with. What's next? The roadmap again. That's the example code about the .0 now. It's just from the REST file. Before we come, what would be the next thing? What's next? The problem is the roadmap again. Still under construction. We have talked about the .0 now. They are not there.
Before we come, what would be the next things is they have to be built. The problem is, what should I say about the upcoming plans? I can say we add this or this or this. They are not there. And in half a year on the developer days, but they are not there. Stefan, they have to be built. So what should I say about the upcoming plans? I can say we add this or this. Stolen from the key half a year on the developer days, you say, Stefan, you said this will come in. It's missing things. So, which would be nice. We are trying to get in stolen from the key blocks API keynote from which will be added with 13. There are things the content blocks which would be nice. We are trying to get in. One point is the content blocks API. That's coming with which will be added with 13. There are plans to unify the settings API for the sites and other things. Not only the sites. General settings. That's coming with in which form I cannot say. I have no plans to unify the settings API for deployable permissions and other things deployable as YAML settings. For example, in which form I cannot say. I have no preset concept seen, but they are working on editor roles, deployable permissions and other things deployable as YAML and other things. For example. I don't know if the AFI support is editor roles and I kept this web, so on and so on. And other things. Another point is to reduce the needed boilerplate. I don't know if the AFI support or configuration I kept this web. Is one of the types. One of this is another point is to reduce to avoid extra boilerplate, the SQL code or configuration to do things. Is one of the tasks. Also, one of this is simplify TCI options to avoid extra. Use the SQL file. Make it more streamlined, what is really needed. Also simplify TCA options. Introduce new things. Use it. Make it more streamlined, what is really needed. Mainly or integrators. But we also have the users of the TYPO3 introduce not us as engineers. That was for developers. Easier permission integrators. But we also have the users of the TYPO3 backend. With not us just mentioned presets. Presets not just for configuration, but also handling. The goal is to have some systems where you have predefined or just mentioned presets content. You can use not to generate configuration, but also for content. The goal is to have some systems using where you have like predefined presets of content. That's what I use to generate pages as a meta description of that. And using one of the goal like TYPO3 Surf Camp in April to start working on these things. There has been some meta description already from the core merchants, but it's one of the goals of the TYPO3 Surf Camp in April to start working on these things. There has been some preparation patch already from the core merchants, but there are things coming on this. Page tree redirects have been done. Permissions and copy issues and additional features are coming in. We try to address it working on in the next version. Redirects and special permissions one is the content block that is really set. The extension is ready to address it in the next version. Yellow because so they are coming, but in which is the content blocks that is really feature-rich. The extension is ready, that will come. The other things are yellow because more are silent. They are coming, but in which additional expression methods and expression I cannot for more things like left pad, right pad. More are silent one. Substring, repeat, additional expression methods and expression cross database way. That's the point. Left pad, right pad, also a preparation for common table expression, so on. Another in a cross-database way. That's the point. We want to introduce it as an internal API first until it is common table. You can use it, but another. That would be our API for it. We want to introduce it as an internal API first until it is. You can use it, and if the API has gotten some. That's what we are API for everyone. And doing some internal stuff with it. And if the API has gotten some settings, we will open up it for everyone. In general, yeah, we have a lot of tools. Yeah. Still stolen from Benny. More fun, less work. I guess that should be the in general,
for us all.
yeah, we have a lot of tools.
Not only for us as developer, also
Still stolen from Benny.
For all working with
more fun, less work.
More automation.
I guess that should be the
a lot of people are using pipelines, not only for us as developer,
if you can automate the
configuration
for
in
all
more places
and have not to deal
more
with
automation.
This would be
a lot of people are using pipelines, but
less trainings.
if you can automate the configuration in more places and have not to deal with database, this would be
for these announced things, less training,
presets. A lot of teams have to work together because the core merger alone cannot do it.
For these announced things
and presets,
that's the
a lot of teams
have to
all
work
of these
together
teams because
doing its
the core
work,
merger alone cannot do it.
They have all
team cannot do it alone.
And
lacking of
that's
manpower.
that's the thing. All of these teams doing its work.
So if you
have some free time to spare,
lacking
look in some of these teams.
If it's 1 hour a week, spend it. If it's 2 hours,
so if you
learn a lot of things and you improve the systems and the
look
core.
in some of these teams.
If it's 1 hour to some of the teams, spend it. Where your ideas or do it. You learn a lot of things and you improve the systems and the core. So
it's
so head over to some of the teams, little overtime, your ideas or experience wise, and help the whole.
They are still talking as well.
Little overtime.
I guess the other topic has been taken longer.
They are still talking as well.
But again,
I
if someone
guess the other
is interested just for the typing things and how to deal with it, offer to do tomorrow
if someone
on the
is
barcamp session, more or less
just
in
for
the typing things and how to deal with it.
Showcase.
Not a talk.
Can offer to do
Tomorrow
how to deal with
on the
it with
barcamp
some
session,
example,
more or less
and
in
so
PHP Storm.
In general,
Not for every place
Showcase.
because
Not
that
a
would be a
talk,
lot.
just with some
how to
thing,
deal with it with
and
some
maybe
example,
filling up with
and so
general
on, coding and questions.
In general,
So
as a
not for
flavor
every
for
place
the
because that
missing
would be a
example in
lot.
this talk.
Just with some
Any
things,
questions?
and maybe filling up with general coding
Nobody?
questions. So as a trade-off for
thank
the
you.
Thanks for listening.
Any questions?
Do you like beer or do you like wine? Or do you?
Beer.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
From here. Do you like beer or do you like wine?
Thanks.
Or do you,
Beer.
You don't drink
Thanks.
alcohol?
Beer.
Thank you.
Was also my first listen
From here.
thanks. Thanks. Was also my first listen thanks. And I thought I had time to visit the thanks. You can go.
Tweede zending uit. Hallo René, hoor je me? 1 keer? Nu, hallo, 1 keer. 1 keer de stream. 1 keer de stream. Even kijken of dat de hele tijd op die stream blijft. Want we streamen dit nu. Even kijken als ik die nu helemaal even uit. Even kijken. Hallo, test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3, want hij komt nu, even kijken, hij komt nu op de stream. Even rustig. Nou hoor ik je nog. Hoor je me? René, hoor je me nu dubbel?
Ik hoor je 1 keer.
1 keer, oké. Ik ga nu even deze kant lopen. Even kijken of je me nog steeds 1 keer hoort, René. Hallo, test 1, 2, 3. Hallo, 1, 2, 3. Ja, ik loop even met je rond. Even kijken wat het probleem is.
En nou hoor ik hem 1 keer.
Kijk wat hij nu doet.
Ik hoor nou die. Ja, oké.
Even deze kant lopen. Even kijken of je me nog steeds 1 keer hoort, René. Hallo, test 1, 2, 3. Hallo, 1, 2, 3. Ja, ik loop even met je rond. Even kijken wat het probleem is.
En nou hoor ik hem 1 keer.
Maar niemand dubbel, hè? Nee, oké, dan is het opgelost. Leg het daar dus aan.
Ik werd hier knettergek van.
Ja.
Toen dacht ik van, nou, was ik heel zachtjes op mijn telefoon aan het luisteren, dat ging redelijk.